Hey everybody, I am Chris Gore from Film Threat. Happy Friday. You made it to Friday. And if you're like me, you were probably at a screening of The Batman yesterday. My second time seeing it. I have some new thoughts and fresh perspective. I'm excited you're with us. I already see the chat is hopping. The chat is hopping right now with some good comments. So we will get to those. I'll also be joined by my colleague, Alan Ng, the editor-in-chief of Film Threat. We also have a special guest today with it's a special guest director of the new Bruce Willis movie that I believe opens today called A Day to Die. Let's kick off the Film Threat podcast, live on a Friday. Here we go. Welcome to the Film Threat Podcast. Let's get this thing started. Alan Ng is here, my colleague, the editor-in-chief of Film Threat. Alan, how's it going?
Good. I could not get myself to see Batman again.
Oh, you couldn't? Well, what did you see something last night?
I tried to watch Drive My Car, but that's another 3-hour movie that I just couldn't get through.
Oh my God. Well, I got through the Batman a second time, and I have to say, I think, we did a previous live stream earlier this week where I talked about my thoughts. I had some issues. There's that cringe line from the Catwoman, So, and people are talking about it. I will say this, and we should just right up front say we're going to talk mild spoilers, not major spoilers, but mild spoilers as we get into it. So if you don't want to hear any spoilers, get out while you can. Get out. But I will say this.
But come back. We got more stuff.
Right. Yeah, that's true. But the thing is this, I liked it much better the second time.
All right.
I know I had some nitpicky things related to Batman's origin and his family and Thomas Wayne. I know that's been explored in the comics. I didn't particularly like it then. It's fine. It doesn't bother me as much now. I still think you could excise that 20 minutes because as soon as they get into this, the Wayne family thing, it's kind of resolved in the next couple scenes.
Yeah.
Quickly. So it's like, well, then why was this even necessary? Which again extends the length of the film. I think keeping it focused on the Riddler might have been a better choice, but whatever. Anyways, my nitpicks didn't bother me as much this time. And I will say this, the cringe Catwoman line, like what was weird is packed house where it's 3:00 in the afternoon in the Dolby Cinema, which is, I think the two best ways to see this movie are definitely IMAX, if you can see it in IMAX, or the Dolby, if you've been in a Dolby Cinema where they have this projection system that like the blacks are just very black. And it's like, it's perfect for this movie, for a movie that's very dark, like the Batman. Where Gotham is practically a character, where most of the movie takes place at night. It's great. And the nitpicks my nitpicky things didn't bother me as much. And when that line is spoken, the Catwoman talks about, let's take down these white privileged assholes.
Yeah.
When she says that line, one person clapped. That was it. It was just like, and then I'm sure they looked around and went like, okay, yeah. That was it. One person clapped at that line, but then there were, anyways. So I've kind of revised my opinion. I would say I would give it a more favorable review. I think that, and this has happened to me before, and it's usually with like something that I really love, whether it's like a Star Trek or Star Wars or whatever. I see it and there's initial shock of like, okay, I've seen this movie. I now have to accept that this is part of the canon for this ongoing fictional universe, right? I have to accept it. Once I've kind of accepted it, it's like, okay, I can cast aside some of my nitpicks. Alan, what were your have you had rethought any of it?
Yeah.
Now that you've had some time to kind of let it simmer, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, in fact, I did let it simmer a bit before I wrote the review, which is online now at Film Threat. But one thing, there are a lot of things that have nothing to do with this movie that I had to fight. It's the fact that the internet keeps talking about that one line, and it's like, I still like the movie, but I'm starting to realize that this one line just doesn't ruin it at all. It's it's like someone, it's when your old dad just says something political and you just kind of brush it off. It's like, okay, thanks, Dad, and then you just move on. But what I think I did do was I really started thinking about the storytelling. I do like the noir. I like the overall storytelling, but a lot of these cringy moments and a lot of weird things just. I think Matt Reeves didn't set it up well. You talked about the Wayne family and the Arkham family, and how that tension was brought in, but then resolved 2 scenes later. It's like that was not very good setup, and that whole plot line just felt plot driven. It's for this specific plot. It really has no effect over the overall Batman universe. And then that line, it's like, well, I guess if they had set up Lieutenant Gordon as the sole black cop and everyone hated him because he was black, then that line may have resonated better, but
Right.
it didn't. And then at the end, the final battle scene, it didn't dawn on me that until that moment that there was an election and that people that day were voting for a new mayor. And because it's just not set up well. But having said that, I think the overall the main plot of the movie I still enjoy and I still like it. I just don't know that I would go back, and if it weren't 3 hours I'd probably go back and see it, but I just don't have the desire to go back and see a 3-hour movie, even this one.
Well, I'm sorry, I'm a Batman fanatic. I had to get I had to get the popcorn bucket, which is
$30, right?
$26.99.
Okay.
And it comes with a bucket of popcorn. So, and you can go into Batman's brain, I guess. I don't know. I'm going to use this for something. I'm not going to use it for popcorn. But they were sold out when I was there last week or earlier this week. They had them. I had to grab one. But look, I'm seeing it again tomorrow. But yeah, the nitpicks, it didn't, like you said, that line, it didn't ruin the movie for me. It just is out of the blue because it's set up.
Yeah.
There's nothing really set up about any racial tension in Gotham. It's just all the bad guys just happen to be, in these, in the establishment, right? And they're all sort of being taken out one by one.
Yeah, and they're corrupt. They're
right.
not racist. They're corrupt. They've been bought off by the mob.
Exactly. Yeah. I just so the line comes out of the blue. Yeah, it doesn't ruin the movie, but you're right. Like Matt Reeves didn't set it up that would even organically fit in the story. So it kind of just stops the movie, and that to me is where the movie starts to go off the rails for me. So it's still not a perfect movie, but I enjoyed it much better the second time. And because now I'm kind of just savoring the world and thinking like, why isn't this a TV series? Why isn't there an ongoing Batman procedural show?
Because there's so many side characters to explore.
There are like side characters, whether it's I know there's going to be
they got to get their TV shows before Batman gets his back.
That's what bugs me is they'll do let's do a Pennyworth show. We're going to do this. They're going to do everything but do a show about Batman, which I feel like just do a Batman television show. It just seems it seems perfect for TV, right? It's whatever the villain of the week is. You've got your season arcs. It's so perfect for episodic television that a Batman TV series is not doing one is a huge missed opportunity.
Yeah. I mean, if Peacemaker can be dark, gritty, gory on HBO Max, why not Batman?
Exactly. We're going to keep talking about Batman. We are going to get to your comments. Before we do that, I just want to say, please like this video. And if you like what we're talking about, share it. If you're not a subscriber to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. And also you can support us and buy something like this. Those AMC Batman popcorn buckets might be sold out, but our Film Threat t-shirts are not sold out. You can pick one up. Go to shop.filmthreat.com. Check out, we've got all kinds of stuff. If you like, there's a lot of cool, we did this whole sort of series of shirts based on classic movie logos. And this one is one that I think, based on what we're talking about today, you might actually like. So pick that up. And we thank you. We thank you for all your support, just for watching us and hanging out with us here on a Friday morning. We are going to get to more other movies to talk about, because oddly enough, there are other films that are coming out, right? Like, shocking. Yes, I know. But I want to get to some of your comments about the Batman. I was reading the chat even before we went live. People were debating about it, and there are people who loved it, people who did not love it. Here we go. Let's get to some quick comments. Sam Lombardo says, worst comic book movie ever made, in my opinion. More fitting if this were a Batman fan film some college kid made on YouTube than a middle-aged auteur funded by a big studio. Wow,
so,
that's
so you like Captain Marvel better than the Batman?
Well, it's harsh. I mean, that's kind of a harsh opinion. I don't know if I agree with that. Pancho Bigote, I'm probably saying that wrong. I'm saying all the names wrong, and my apologies. It says movie was great. Catwoman's line is a little woke, but not too cringe to where it ruins the movie.
Yeah.
Best Batman to date. Yeah, I feel like it's the most accurate Batman to the comic book. Like comics I remember where Batman is the true detective, and it's not necessarily the ending I still have issues with, but it's not filled with all this spectacle, right? It's just solving a crime and catching the bad guys. But there are deeper layers on this that I think we're gonna get into later.
Well, I like how, I get the feeling that Superman just wouldn't fit in this world. If you bring in the other Justice League, it would seem out of place as compared to Batman versus Superman and Batfleck.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, Superman is mostly like a hopeful, the big Boy Scout, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as he was portrayed in Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns, he's sort of a kind of dim, kind of a tool of the state, which is interesting. Whereas
but also,
Batman,
is there a place for superpowers in this world?
that's an interesting thought. Like, but what I love about it, like the Marvel movies have done this well, where the tones of each of the Marvel films is kind of different, and when the worlds collide, it's funny, it's interesting, right? So like, an Iron Man movie is very different than a Thor film, right? So I think you could do this. I think this is what bothers me, is like, why haven't they made a Superman movie like since Man of Steel? They can't figure out how to do Superman. It's weird. Let's go some more comments here. Holly Weirdland says, I also am a huge Nirvana fan. The idea that this era's Batman is somehow inspired by Kurt Cobain is a Gen Xer at heart, like me, is something that rarely happens. Yeah. That's Gen Xer too, right here.
Yep.
Mike Tochi says it comes on HBO Max April 18th. I'm waiting till then to watch it. Mike, disagree. I think you should see it in a theater on the big screen. The sweeping sound. I'm sure you're screening, Alan. When the Batmobile starts up for the first time.
Oh my gosh. all the seats were vibrating. And
your seat vibrating. It's great. Yeah. It's great. So yeah.
I mean, you convinced me. I think I will see it in Dolby. I think that's the perfect next way to see it.
And let's see, we have Juan Jose Escamilla says the best superhero movie ever. Fletcher Williams is back. He says, hail chat, and hail the awesome Chris Gore.
Hail chat.
And hail to Alan. Hail to Alan. Everybody here. But yeah, so here we go. Oh, we've got a super chat here. Let's get our super chat. And then also I gotta say
30-second dance party.
Thank you. Wait, now how do I turn this thing off?
We've become Twitch.
Okay. Matthew Spates, $10 super chat. Thank you so much for that. I'm headed to see it tonight. How would you compare it to Batman Begins? Would this fit in with the Joker movie? Alan, what do you think?
It's very different than than Batman Begins. It's they're apples and oranges in a way. It would fit in with the Joker movie. I mean, it certainly could, but if you've seen the ending, maybe.
No, I actually think, well, two things. One, it's very different from Batman Begins. Batman Begins, I think, is hopeful. It's more optimistic. It's also, I think, more accessible to kids. One thing we talked about in our original review, this is an R-rated movie. It is technically PG-13, but I'd say that PG-13 is 100% accurate. I think a kid under the age of 13 will be disturbed. There's a an element that a lot of people have compared it to Seven. It's very apt description. This is I would say soft R rated, but they're, while some of the gruesome deaths happen off screen, the thought of them or the implications or the reactions to them, kids are going to be thinking about that. And I think it's going to be traumatic for kids, definitely kids under 10. I don't think this is a movie that you could take them to. Now, it's a different situation when you see a movie like this on television, right? Television comes with distraction. You're in your living room, you're eating snacks, you're hanging out. It's the lights are on for the most part. I think maybe you could watch it on television as a kid, but at the theater, I don't know. If my kids were under 13, I would not take them. Alan, on that, what do you think?
Yeah. I think, we talked about it last time. I think I'm okay with my daughter seeing it. Definitely not a kid's movie, but I don't think, even the Nolan Batman, I think the Batmans in the past have always been the upper kid range, and never really for kids. So,
gotcha.
But I just don't, I still see it as a PG-13. I don't feel like it's an R in any way, really.
Yeah. But it's interesting. I do think the Joker, in terms of that tone, would fit into this unit. I mean, if anything, Joker may have been sort of a, not necessarily, but sort of a connective, like, prequel to this, setting it up. I mean, Thomas Wayne's demise is portrayed differently, but you could connect it, right? So
yeah,
I think I'm surprised, there is no Joaquin Phoenix at the end. I looked at the credits. Okay, so I actually watched the credits, and there is a little tag at the very, very end of the movie that implies that there be a sequel. And we'll talk about that in a bit. But it's a Barry, what's his name? Barry Keoghan?
Yeah.
I'm going to pronounce his name incorrectly. Keegan, I think. Barry Keoghan. He portrays in the credits in the movie unnamed Arkham prisoner. And
that was him.
That was him. I took a photo of it because I was like, I want confirmation. So he effectively, and it implies that he's the Joker. I don't like that as his entry. If that's how they're going to bring the Joker in, I think it's a mistake. I think revealing like Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker would have been much better. I think that would have been a better way to bring the Joker into this world. And we will talk about like what the sequel will be, but let's get to some of these other questions. Matthew, thank you again for your super chat. Let's see. I saw this in Dolby Atmos at Alamo. Got to see this with ass blasting audio. Yes, it's great. All right. Okay.
Yeah, I guess ass blasting would be the right term.
Yeah. Rob-a-Dob 55. It's definitely a broken Gotham-like Joker. Yeah, it really feels like the Gotham from Joker. And this question comes up a lot. This is from Akanisha. Oh my God. Please forgive me for these mispronunciations, people. Please. How is Pattinson's acting in the movie? I think Pattinson is great. I think just from Good Time, which when I started watching Good Time the first time, I didn't know it was Robert Pattinson. I mean, it was like, wait a sec, I recognize that actor. Who is it again? Because he doesn't have that like coiffed hair from Twilight. So no, I think Pattinson is great in this. He's fantastic. One of the strongest parts of the movie. So what are your thoughts, Alan? You've seen all the Twilight films.
No, I haven't. I saw Harry Potter though. And barely, I don't think it was in anybody in Harry Potter. I liked it. I just appreciate a different take and a different spin. He's not, he is very different from every other Batman. And I think that's in a way the way it should be. Every iteration, everyone who takes on the Batman role needs to have their own take, because then it just becomes derivative of itself.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think everyone agrees that probably Clooney was the worst Batman. I mean, he was just George Clooney is George Clooney in every movie he's in. He just played, I'm George Clooney.
Yeah, I mean, Ben Affleck in a way, it's hard not to see Ben Affleck in Batman there as well.
Right. Well, the score deserves an award for sure. Ramadan 55. I agree with you. That score, and it's almost like the movie's pretty much wall to wall music, and it's so integral to the tone of the film. And Ramadan 55 also says Pattinson is so underrated because of Twilight. Yeah. But George Clooney, not. I think everyone agrees probably the worst Batman. Yeah, for sure.
Back to the score. We don't talk about Michael Giacchino enough. He's along with Hans Zimmer, and it's like he should be up there with like John Williams. He's so good at scoring.
Well, we're gonna have some reviews of other films that have opened, but before we do that, I want to talk about what will be in the sequel, the Batman sequel. They've set up the world now. Batman and there's sort of an interesting thing that I noticed. There's a guy at the very end who's one of the Riddler's sort of minions and followers, right? Who is unmasked. That also, and I thought I recognized him, and then he's from the funeral scene earlier, and it's Batman kind of realizes that this whole vengeance pathway that he's been on is not necessarily the best pathway in order to get the result he wants out of saving Gotham. It may purge his sort of inner demons, right, and trauma, sort of taking vengeance on those that are deserving, the criminals of Gotham City, but it's not a way to heal the city. And when he kind of repeats that line, and he recognizes that he's this citizen from the funeral, like it's sort of this realization of I may not be going about this the right way. And I like that. It's interesting to notice things that upon second viewing, of course, a 3-hour movie like this, there's a lot of that, but also how good even all the supporting characters are. Every role, whether it's like a cop or a person with a background or one line, just amazing, grizzled, out of the comics or out of The Godfather or a mafia film, how good that casting was. But let's talk about the sequel now. You've got the new mayor, Bella Real, right? She's going to be the new mayor. I think they're going to have the November 6 hearings. They're going to have hearings about November 6th. Because they did sort of have, I did sort of get J6 vibes out of that ending a little bit. There's sort of a parallel. And I know he wrote it before January.
Before COVID, yeah.
Before COVID.
And long before, yeah.
Yeah, and the original script was 260 pages, I'm told. 260 pages. So, that's like a third of a season of a television series, maybe half depending on the number of episodes. So it's kind of surprising they didn't think to this could be a series on HBO Max, which I still don't know why, but okay, so where do we go? We've got, the new mayor in place. You've got Gotham City's. It's going to take a while to clean it up. You're looking like a year to probably clean up the city, to fix where all the flooding is and whatnot. The city is damaged. And then there's Arkham and maybe someone who's the Joker. Catwoman, I feel like she's going to be back.
Yeah.
Where do you see the sequel going? Where do you see, do you see is Rob? I don't know if Robin can ever fit into a Batman universe like this.
He never has.
He never has. I think the only way to do it would be Grayson. If you've ever seen the fan film Grayson, look that up. Everyone in the chat, just open a new tab, whatever you do. Look up Grayson fan film. It's a 5-minute trailer. That is how you do a Robin movie, or introduce Robin into the universe. It starts with Batman's funeral. Batman's been murdered. Robin's kind of on his own and trying to solve the crime with a little help from some super friends. But it's gritty, it's dark. A lot of people have theorized that the Grayson fan film trailer actually inspired kind of the tone of the Snyderverse. So really worth checking that out. And there's some behind the scenes and making of on the internet too from the director John Fiorella. But it's interesting that I look at that because I saw it, and then suddenly the Snyderverse comes along. It's oh yeah, there's a lot of ideas that are kind of in there, right? In the Snyderverse. But as for the sequel, look, the Joker is the number one Batman arch nemesis. Does Joker come in the sequel? Is it played by Barry Keoghan, or do they bring in Joaquin Phoenix?
Yeah, I just a couple thoughts. One is I almost don't want a sequel, but it's going to make money, so they'll do it. The other thing is they kind of ruined potential for a sequel by one, resolving the Wayne Arkham family relationship in the first film, and two, by giving away Catwoman's identity or her origin. And basically they kind of got, they kind of tied a knot on that one. And I felt like those are things you could carry into the second one. But in terms of what the sequel should be, I agree with you. I think the most interesting story aspect would be this idea of, we all know Batman as a vigilante. Well, why not explore that, but explore it more in a darker way that, he's more or less, Batman has started the ball rolling on citizens becoming vigilantes, as witnessed by Riddler's minions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's continue that storyline going on. Let's really get into the fact that maybe what Batman is doing is not the right way to go about things, and find a way to find interesting subplots into it, interesting insights into it, and then play that out in the second movie.
Right. Well, I think they got to bring in someone like the Joker. There are other villains they could bring in real quick. My friend Kevin Rubio throws up a super chat here. Thank you for the super chat. Wait,
Absolutely.
My thing's not working now.
30-second dance.
Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate it. All right, we're gonna turn that off. All right, Kevin Rubio, also director of one of the greatest fan films ever made, Troops, which you need to see. Just look up Troops. It's a Star Wars fan film, one of the greatest. Screened at San Diego Comic-Con. I think the first comment someone yelled was "Show it again." So Kevin, thank you for that. He says Rob's a talented actor, and this movie is an auteur's vision, one of the few characters that can have multiple interpretations. Kevin, I love that observation. Like, that's what's interesting about Batman. You can have everything run the gamut from, on the one end, you can have campy Adam West Batman, and that is super fun, and that works in its own and has its own world. And you can have the Batman of Matt Reeves, the very dark detective Batman, right? So multiple interpretations, I think, really work well. I think that was where maybe people had issues with Man of Steel. Man of Steel kind of went a little too dark. I don't know that necessarily that dark is Superman. Superman is more hopeful, back to the Richard Donner sort of, he's a symbol. He's a Boy Scout, always trying to do good and do the right thing. And I think Batman, which makes Batman more interesting than Superman, is Batman is conflicted. Batman has issues for sure. Kevin, thank you for that super chat.
We do have a second super chat.
Oh, where's that? Oh, great. Corey Timmons. Corey Timmons, thank you for your $5 super chat. Gotham shows Gotham like the comics, and it's timeless like Gotham is supposed to be. Plus, race swapping Gordon for no reason, not watching because of it. I disagree with that. I'll say this. Jeffrey Wright is just a great actor. Jeffrey Wright is a great, and also I feel like that is kind of irrelevant. Same thing with Catwoman. Catwoman has been black. Catwoman has been white. Doesn't matter. It necessarily. So Corey, give it a chance. Give it a chance, Corey.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I'd like to see, this is interesting. Shinatsky says, from that criminal's point of view, that would be interesting.
That was Joker, basically.
That was basically Joker, right?
Yeah, in Batman, Dark. Well, what am I thinking? The Joker. I can't even remember the title of the movie.
Killing Joke?
No, it was. Why am I?
The Dark Knight. What?
It's the second Nolan film.
The Dark Knight.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much the Joker's point of view. That film.
Maybe. I mean, no, I don't know. I mean, I would say Joker, by Todd Phillips. I think that. I mean, I feel like it's a fitting connective film to the Batman. So I'm surprised they didn't throw in like Joaquin Phoenix at the end. And I'm sure that was a money issue, because if they were going to do that, they would have had to pay him so much money. They just kind of leave a person who might be the Joker, unnamed Arkham prisoner. Barry Keoghan, like, I don't know. Would Barry make a good Joker? Are they saying he is the Joker? It's implied, but I think what Matt Reeves is leaving. He's leaving himself an out to recast. So I don't know, who would you like to see as the Joker? I think Joaquin Phoenix, if he would do it, and maybe they could give him age makeup, right? Like they could age him up so that it kind of matches.
Yeah.
So what, he's maybe 10 years older, 15 years older than Batman.
Well, the only problem with Barry Keoghan is he's locked into Eternals too, or if there is one.
Wait, is he?
Yeah, he's. I don't know. I don't know if they're making an Eternals too, but he's an Eternal. So, and he didn't die in that one. So,
well, someone asked, George Dizzle 253, talk about that Batman chase, the Batmobile chase scene. That was great. I loved it. I love myself Batmobile. I picked it up. I sort of have all the Batmobiles. I've collected all the Batman. When you collect something, what's great about like Batman stuff is you can collect certain types of Batman things. I have Batmobiles and I have Bat phones. Don't ask. But that chase scene was awesome. I mean, it's frenetic, right? And then it's also, you're like, oh, like this, it's sort of has like those Matrix Reloaded vibes where they're going against traffic and kind of weaving in and out. I thought that was amazing. So yeah,
I like that it wasn't overdone either.
Right. It could have been cartoonish, but it actually seems to be grounded in reality. Although the Penguin, I laughed actually when you see like these sort of interior shot of oh my god,
Colin Farrell.
You're Colin Farrell. He's like spinning around everything and then you see the car just go boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm surprised he didn't end up with more injuries.
And who knew the Penguin was such a great driver?
Oh my god! And let's see, do we have like another super chat?
Yes, we do.
From Matthew Spates. Thank you, Matthew. $10 super chat. Here we go.
30-second dance party.
Oh,
thank you, Matthew. All right, let's get to that. We can't go full 30 seconds.
No, you have to encourage super chats, not annoy people with super chats.
Matthew says, with Robert Pattinson looking so young, could they pull off Damian Wayne as Robin? Maybe pull in that storyline. I think that would have to be in a third Batman film. I just don't think. I don't know. I think that's a later. I don't know that Robin kind of fits into this take on Batman. The dark. As soon as Batman went dark, Robin doesn't fit that world, right? I mean, Robin was, of course, in Batman Forever and Batman and Robin, but it would just felt cheesy. There's got to be a real world way to bring him in. I always felt that like that it was a missed opportunity with The Dark Knight Rises. I kind of thought that, Joseph Gordon-Levitt was going to be, he's sort of revealed to be Robin at the end, or his real name is Robin, which I thought was cheap.
But
he should have.
It just was thrown in to do it.
It's just thrown in just to do it, and it didn't make sense. What I thought he should have done was they could have done this. This is my take. All right, bear with me. Now you got to go back to The Dark Knight Rises. There's the team, right? I think it's the Gotham. Is it the Gotham Rogues or Gotham? Anyways, starts with an R. The name of the Gotham football team. And I always thought, well, like, what if Joseph Gordon-Levitt had a brother who was on that team who died when the stadium was destroyed? He has a hoodie because the R of the Gotham, I think it was someone in the chat tell me is
that's so long ago. I don't even remember.
It's not Raiders. Anyways, but the R from the logo of the Gotham City football team is the same R as Robin. And is it the Rogues? Okay. I think it may be the Rogues. Anyways, he could have been wearing a hoodie that had the R on it as a tribute to his brother who passed away tragically in the football stadium. And then he's got the hoodie and it would be, Gotham Rogues. Then he could be in effect kind of Robin. And Batman even says to him, hey, if you're going to do this, wear a mask, right? Like he has that line that he says to Joseph Gordon-Levitt, like, I don't know. I thought that could have worked. Then it's like he sort of de facto kind of becomes like a vigilante to protect his identity, but he's wearing a hoodie with the R on it as a tribute to his brother. I just felt that like they set it up and having it be a throwaway line at the end and like that he was going to become the new Batman by just being sort of gifted the the Batcave didn't work. It didn't work for me. There's problems. The Dark Knight Rises.
And the movie was so big, you don't need another subplot. You don't need a Robin subplot in that movie.
Right. Or if you're going to do it, just do it. Go all out. Yeah. And I am told that Christopher Nolan was forced to make that movie much shorter. There's a version that exists, not to get into a Snyder Cut world or Ayer Cut world. There is a cut, the original cut of The Dark Knight Rises that exists, that is much longer, and he was forced by the studio to shorten it. There's a certain point in the movie when you get to the midpoint where it becomes very montagey. This happens. Mm-hmm. The second half of Dune is David Lynch's 1984 Dune. That's just all montage, right?
Yeah.
The second half
is that the Batman in rehab portion of it? Physical?
Yeah, the Batman in back rehab.
Yeah, if PT, physical therapy.
Right. Yeah, he's doing physical training every day.
Yeah, that movie didn't need to be longer. I hate to say it, but
it didn't need to be longer. Right. But I would love to see Nolan's original cut, and you can look this up because it's Nolan's wife, who's also the producer of all of his films, and her name escapes me now, so my apologies. There's a bigger cut of The Dark Knight Rises out there. I would love to see it. I think we've seen HBO Max as a great platform for putting out. I love the Snyder Cut of Justice League. I think it's an hour too long, but if that 3-hour Snyder Cut of Justice League was released to theaters with that tone in 2017, it would be a completely different universe. Yes, Leon, the new geek, says Emma Thomas is Nolan's wife. Yeah, she's mentioned in an interview that there's the original cut of it, and I even talked to some people who work there at kind of lower levels that there was a lot of pressure on Nolan to cut the length of this movie down. So yeah, release the Batman, says Fletcher Williams. And Fletcher Williams also says, but Robin would have to be dark in the darkness with no light in the dark. Yeah, well, that's what's weird about Batman's costume is very practical. It's made to kind of fit. Robin's costume is not practical. It's sort of based partly on Robin Hood and partly on a circus performer.
You mean a red top and gold booty shorts would not do it for you?
No, green booty shorts. Green booty shorts and green Robin Hood like moccasins and flesh colored tights and a yellow cape. He's sort of a walking target there, they would have to redesign. There are modern incarnations of Robin's costume that we've seen in the Arkham video game series, which if you've not played that Batman video game series, phenomenal. Check that out for sure. But that modern interpretation of Robin's costume, I think, actually better fits into the darker Batman that we have seen. We're going to keep talking about Batman, but we've got some other movies that opened up that we're going to talk about. I don't know if we should pivot and talk about it. What does the chat think? Do you want to hear about other movies that actually opened today or not? We can do some quick reviews. Yes, no? Type yes if you want to see some other. Wait, Matthew is going crazy with the super chats here. Matthew, sheesh. I appreciate it, dude. Matthew Spates says, wait, before we get we got to do this. I think I have to let this song play all the way through to get a different song.
Please don't.
All right, I'm gonna turn this off. I'm sorry, it's bugging me. That is why I was thinking Damian Wayne, because he is a much darker timeline, where Bruce gets his DNA taken and Damian has no issues killing due to his training. I think it would better fit if you're gonna do, Robin like that. The Damian Wayne version, I think, would fit better in Matt Reeves' universe, but we'll see. That's
a way too deep a dive for me.
Belisarius Smith says the first two games were great, but with that third, started going downhill. I agree with you. The third one, here's what the third one bugged me. There's so much driving, and I don't want to drive in that game. I just want to be Batman. If I've got to use the Batmobile, keep it simple. The driving in that third game was impossible. It was really interesting. And Michael Giamarino And I know I said that incorrectly, Michael. My apologies. There's an article speculating that the longer cut of The Dark Knight Rises was just a first assembly, was never intended to be released as a finished version. Yes, first assembly, yes, but like, God, I would love to see it. I think we're all adults here. I'd love to see that assembly cut. So yeah, like let's pivot for a second. We are going to come back to the Batman, but there are other movies that open today, and I know that you saw one of these films.
Yes.
It's an indie movie called Mother Schmuckers.
Yeah, it's actually I don't know. It's technically an indie movie. It's from Belgium, and it made its premiere at Sundance last year, not this past year. And yeah, you know, if you are into kind of the gross out movies, this movie is just wrong. It features these two brothers. They live in kind of a depression era version of Belgium. They have no money. Their mother is working herself to the bone. These guys are lazy, no good nicks. They have no job. And the movie opens with them so hungry that they've decided that they're going to fry up some shit. The mother's angry because, you know, they're cooking shit in their kitchen on a frying pan. And then they're tempting each other to actually eat it. This is the tone of this movie throughout from beginning to end. Mother's so upset with them. She has to get to work. She wants them to get jobs, but they won't do it. So she has them take the dog out for a walk. They meet a couple friends. You know, one of the friends takes them. They go to this bodega where the owner there, he's going to buy them a whole shopping cart full of food if they can get their mother to go have dinner with them. That doesn't work out. They lose the dog. They're still hungry. They meet a friend. The friend says, "Hey, I've got a gun." So they go out to the park. They start shooting pigeons. I mean, this is the tone of this movie. And I think what I like about it is the fact that it's just so offensive. You know, they have a gun, a handgun, and they're just going to go into the park in the middle of the city and hunt for pigeons. And it's just absolutely wrong. And I think I'm so tired of wokeness, of political correctness that I think this movie just resonated with me. And I think if you're getting really tired of that stuff, yeah, this is the palate cleanser. It's to kind of bury you deep in the dirt, drag you through the mud, and make you feel really bad about humanity. And I think we need that. I really do.
Well, Alan, it just sounds like a John Waters movie, is what it sounds like.
It's you know, it's almost slapstick, like the Keystone Cops, you know, Charlie Chaplin. That's the vibe I get, but it's set in modern Belgium. And so, but you know, who'd you just mention? John Waters. Yeah,
John Waters. Yeah,
a lot darker and a lot more offensive than John Waters.
Yeah, well, I love John Waters, so this sounds like a movie that I mean, just from the poster is so weird. So look up this film, Mother Schmuckers, Belgium
limited
movie.
release right now.
Wait, it's in limited release?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, we're going to talk about
it played Sundance. I mean, that has to say something.
Oh my God, that's weird. Well, we actually at the top of the hour at 10 a.m. Pacific time, we have a guest coming on, the director of A Day to Die, which is the new Bruce Willis movie. Wes Miller is going to be joining us. So please get your questions ready for Wes Miller. We're going to talk to him about this movie. It stars Kevin Dillon. Frank Grillo is in it. Bruce Willis. And it's not like one of those where just like Bruce Willis stands and he's in the movie for like 2 minutes and that's it. So that movie opens today. And we're going to be talking to the director, Wes Miller, in about 15 minutes. So prepare your questions for him. Let's get back to the Batman here. What I'm excited about is that like this kind of shows the potential of what Batman could be as the detective Batman, right? Mm-hmm. There's even a line the Penguin says, and even isn't there are rumors that there's going to be a Penguin series on HBO Max. So they're not only doing a Gotham PD, they're also doing a Penguin series.
They're doing Gotham PD.
Yeah, Gotham PD.
Oh my God.
So
why?
Yeah, well, it's set in the Batman universe, right? So yeah. It's accurate and sort of a continuation of the Batman as a television series. I still think that's a huge mistake. I feel like if you're going to do a TV show, just make a Batman TV show. I don't understand why you can't do a crime procedural that features Batman.
Have you seen Batwoman at all? Or
no, because I like myself too much, and I don't want to put myself through that torture.
It's like, what is it about the WB that says we need to do everything around the Batman except Batman?
Because I think they're morons, and I think that it's not just that it to me it just doesn't work. I mean, I was in for the Flash the first 2 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked the way that Arrow began, but you can see that they're hampered by things they can't do, and they kind of try to work around it, and it just doesn't. I don't know, it just doesn't work for me. And I remember being criticized years ago when I gave a negative review to Smallville. I think when it came out in like some boxed Blu-ray set or something, 10 seasons of Clark Kent and not being Superman. I don't want to watch that. Now it's different. If you're doing, say, a Superman television series, you could do an episode where you flash back to Clark Kent in, high school or whatever, and how he dealt with being, burdened with these powers and figuring them out. That's interesting. But as a not as like 10 seasons of a television series. And this is what I fear is just like, give us what we want. Like, give us a Batman television show with him as a detective. It's a procedural. There's a villain of the week or a problem of the week that has to be solved, and then or the episode, and then some overarching thing that's going on, or it's just an ongoing story where things aren't wrapped up by the end. I mean, just like episodic television is when it's great, it's phenomenal. And HBO Max is like a perfect. I'd almost rather have them make a Batman television series than make another movie, because the problem with the movie, and we saw this in the Batman, there's a studio's executive that's like, we love this detective story for the first half of the movie, but something big has to blow up at the end. That's the insanity of like every Hollywood. Like, that
felt like a studio note, really.
Exactly. It's a studio note. It's like, make it bigger. It's got to be bigger. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. I mean, we talked about it in our last when we talked about the Batman, our first impressions. 7, which this movie is very inspired by, ends with a standoff and a box. That's how it ends. Not an explosion. There's not like, it's a standoff and there's a box. And we all know what's in the box. What's in the box, right?
Yeah, they never had to show us what was in the box.
Precisely. And that's like such a powerful ending. We're still talking about it. You can just say to anyone, what's in the box? They know what movie you're referencing, the scene, etc. And I feel like Batman was a missed opportunity to do a softer ending that would have been more meaningful. Although I will say that scene with the Riddler when he's interrogating him in prison, and he, for a minute, you think he's figured out that Batman is Bruce Wayne, but then you realize he doesn't know that Batman is Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne just happened to be his next target that he was unable to get, right? And it's haunting. It's haunting.
Absolutely.
We have another super chat here. Am I going to have to play this again every time?
No, you don't.
Thank you, Cotton. All right, that's enough of that. Cotton 499 super chat says, legit just finished your live stream from the other day and come to look, you're live right now. Loving the conversation. Thank you, Cotton.
Oh, thanks, Cotton.
Thank you for joining us. And I think we lost viewers again when I played this. I'm going to, maybe the 30-second dance party. Maybe we need a different sound effect to do that. But
no, I think Peacemaker is perfect proof that WB or HBO Max can produce a Batman TV series, dark, and make it a limited one as well.
Well, exactly. Leon of the New Geek says WB should adapt limited series because some of the characters don't work in long form series, especially because of the budgets. I've always said that. I mean, one of the biggest, I was a big fan of Lost when it first started, and Lost is like 3 seasons too long. And part of the problem is when you're, tasked with, you've got to write to a certain, you got to write where it just keeps going because we don't know how many seasons there are. When a writer knows you're writing to an ending and how long that ending will be, you can build to it, right? And they never were given that opportunity. It was just like, Lost is successful. Keep making more Lost. Well, how are we going to end it? Don't worry about that. Just keep making more of it. And that ended up being its biggest weakness.
Yeah. Well, there was a point where the producers had to negotiate with ABC to end the series, and I think they did that in the last 2 seasons. That was the intention to end it at that moment.
Yeah, I just think that it's better when, like, hey, we're doing, and I do like this sort of shorter seasons, like, 10 episodes. I think is better when you start to get to like 23 plus episodes.
Yeah.
Then there's always like these wasteful episodes, or you could say like, well, we're saving the budget for this episode so we can have a bottle episode where we just don't go anywhere and we're trapped in a room.
A clip episode.
Although that can turn out really well, like with Breaking Bad, the episode with the fly, where they're kind of obsessed with, I don't know. And Cotton says, should have ended the fourth season, but I like time traveling in season 5, referencing, of course, Lost.
Yes.
Yeah,
I just hated the last episode. That was it.
Yeah, Bob Garland says, I'd have liked a scene like they did in Batman Hush, where Gordon and Catwoman have to stop him from murdering the Joker with the Riddler in that Joker spot.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been interesting. There's a lot of places that this can go now, which I'm excited about, but I do think there's a missed opportunity with making a Batman television series. I've even said, like, I think it would be interesting as an experiment, right? I mean, the last couple of years we've had like things go to streaming that would have been in theaters. HBO Max's big experiment, which kind of, didn't help movie theaters. But it was great if you were an HBO Max subscriber and you cared about the movies that were being released. But I'd like to see something where almost like there's a tie-in with a television series, and then in order to see the season finale, you actually have to go to the movie theater. Sort of a reverse, right? So let's say this, right? You've got a 13-episode Batman TV series, and you can see the season finale of the Batman television series in theaters, which will be like the last 2 episodes, like 2 hours, right? Mm-hmm. So you've got the series running on television. You get to that season finale, you can see it in theaters, and then like maybe a month later, you can see it on HBO Max. That's another experiment. I think that they're getting this wrong, where like the day and date doesn't work. It hurts the box office experience. And I personally, as someone like loves to go to the movies are my church. Movies are my church. I got to go every week to worship cinema. And that's I don't know if you're an A-list member like I am with AMC. I don't know. I feel like it's just sort of no big deal. It's and for people like complaining, like actually they raised the price of Batman for this, but if you're an A-list member, it's just you just book it and it's just one of the movies you're going to see, right? But I go every week, right? And I'll see movies I may not have seen, otherwise, because it's like, well, it's just part of my A-list. I've already paid for it effectively. I'll just go Sandra Bullock in The Lost City, which is coming out in a few weeks. I think we'll be talking about that. I saw the trailer. Actually, we were just laughing at how stupid that trailer looks with Channing Tatum. I think Channing Tatum is a really good comedic actor. But yeah, Cotton goes on to say, Batman is definitely perfect for HBO Max. Can be darker and grittier on a per episode basis when needed for the writing. Live action Batman animated series. Yeah, thank you, Cotton. I love that. Like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think, to me, network television is pretty much irrelevant now. I mean, you can take that BBC model and just apply it to this, put it on the streaming channels, the HBO Max, Disney Plus, they're doing it right now. Netflix. So
100%.
There's no reason it couldn't happen.
100% agree. Fletcher Williams goes on to say, how the heck did we get Arrow, Batwoman, Supergirl TV shows and no Batman TV show? Why are we putting the carriage before the horse? Yeah, it is sort of weird, right? Like Batman is so made for a television series. A Batman television series on HBO Max in the tone of what Matt Reeves kind of like set the template. He kind of made like, this is how this universe functions, right? This is what it looks like. This is the design of it. Everything is real world. Even like, I love the idea of Batman having a functional batarang. Literally the emblem on his chest is a batarang and or a pocket knife or whatever, like that just sort of clips back into place. Like I love that. I love that concept. And Leon of the New Geeks says Batman with a Game of Thrones budget, maybe even True Detective style. Oh yeah. Yes. Okay. True Detective. At least the first season of True Detective, phenomenal. That first season is probably one of the greatest seasons of television ever. The first season, the second season, a little mixed on, but yeah, like if they did Batman on that kind of scale, and also that means you don't have to have your Hollywood spectacle. Some of the greatest moments in cinema and television are not when things blow up. I feel like that's lazy Hollywood thinking, is to just the go-to, just like, well, we're going to have something blow up at the end. Lazy.
Yeah. The other thing is, if they can get Oscar Isaac to be Moon Knight for a series, you can get Robert Pattinson to be Batman in a series.
Yeah, I think like more and more bigger actors, celebrities have done television. It would not be unprecedented. There's a way to do it, even if it's like a scheduling thing. I mean, you could have him shoot most of his scenes for like 2-3 episodes and have a lot of drama, surrounding Batman. I just think it's a huge missed opportunity to not seriously consider, even if they recast and they just do it and it's kind of, like they're the movies and it's fine. I mean, how many Batman do we have at the same time now, right? There's that trailer that they showed from DC, which is you've got Robert Pattinson Batman, Ben Affleck Batman, and Michael Keaton Batman are all going to exist in the same year, right? In the same year. I waited forever for the 89 Batman to come out. I mean, I remember reading, this is terrible, this is going to date me, but I remember reading in like the late 70s, early 80s, that Michael Uslan, the producer, which you should look up his book. Michael Uslan wrote a book called The Boy Who Loved Batman, and it's about his life story, how he became a Batman fan, bought the rights to Batman from DC in the 70s when nobody cared. That's when people thought Batman was kind of a joke, and he aspired to make a serious, darker vision of Batman, and nobody had faith in that concept until Frank Miller released the Dark Knight Returns comic book in the mid 80s, and then that inspired the Tim Burton Batman of 89. So that was a long journey. You should look up you should look up this book, The Boy Who Loved Batman by Michael Uslan. And if you look up every Batman movie, producer Michael Uslan at the end of the movie, and literally it's because they have to get the rights from him. Talk about that's like investing in a stock. That's like buying, Bitcoin when it was, 1 penny, right? Like that's crazy. But T South says, don't date yourself, Chris. I'd buy you a steak. I appreciate that. Yes. It's Michael Uslan actually, but that's okay. Uslan is a diehard Batman producer, and Matthew Spates with another $10 super chat. My God, Matthew.
32nd dance party.
Thank you, Matthew. All right, I can't stand that. We got to get a soundboard or something, Alan. We got to look into that. But Matthew Spates says, I figure this is back pay owed for all the fun videos you were in. What was your opinion on Alfred in the Batman? I haven't heard you mention it.
Not enough of him.
I thought he was great. I thought Andy Serkis was amazing. What do you think, Alan?
Not enough of him. But I say that thinking, well, what could they done more with him? I mean, but yeah, I liked it. I'm just having a problem with the whole exposition scene in the hospital, that it just felt lazy at that point.
Yeah,
we've talked about that.
Gotcha. Well, we have a very special guest joining us today. Let's bring him on here. I'm really excited for you to talk to Wes Miller, the director of A Day to Die. Wes, how's it going today?
Hey, good, my man. Thank you for having me.
Hey, thanks for being on. Thanks for being on the Film Threat podcast. You are chatting with all of our friends here on YouTube Live, so thank you for being brave and joining us. Dude, the movie looks amazing. This cast, I first have to ask you, one, what's it like to work with Bruce Willis? And two, how did you put together this amazing cast? Kevin Dillon, Frank Grillo, and then Bruce Willis. What's it like to work with Bruce? How did you bring together this amazing cast? And then I want to ask our chat, if you have questions for Wes, check out, you can look up the trailers, and there's a couple scenes of A Day to Die on YouTube right now. But what's it like to work with Bruce?
Yeah, man. Working with Bruce, I mean, it's almost you have to pinch yourself. You can't fanboy out because you're kind of like leading the train, so to speak. But like in all the iconic movies, such a cinematic legend, and really just kind of getting in and just making sure that you're on point, you're ready to shoot, and you can. He's not that he's not directable, but because he's Bruce Willis. However, you just want to make sure you bring your A game. So, you find yourself there kind of pinching yourself, but definitely, I kind of liken it to playing football. You just like when the big game comes, you're up a little bit early. You're a little bit, everybody's a little bit more on point. So that was amazing. And then Frank, we worked together before, such a great guy. And man, he just, he's a consummate professional, intense, brings his A game like every day, pushes you, challenges you, makes you better, you make him better. And then, Kevin, just came in and killed it, man. I was just, in awe of him. And then, also Leon, who plays the Pettis character, 5 heartbeats, cool runnings, above the rim. Like he's just a legend. So I found myself, since I'm still at the infancy of my career, looking at these guys who have all had a major releases and major performances and critically received performances, and I just found myself in awe and just like I didn't want to let them down, man. I just wanted to like rise to the challenge and make something really cool, but also hopefully that's good and also resonates with people who love action movies, but who also realize action movies can have a little bit more substance to them.
Yeah, I mean, this movie looks incredibly intense. I mean, the story involving, Kevin Dillon's wife is kidnapped, held for ransom. He puts together a crew to get her back. It's intense. It's super intense. There's also just some intrigue behind the scenes. What went into like the development of the script and getting people to get involved? And I feel like with Bruce Willis, I don't know. I if I had ever had the opportunity to direct Bruce Willis in a movie, I kind of want to just hang out with him a little bit. So did you get a chance to hang out with the crew? And then what went into the development of the script?
Yeah. So the script, when it came to me, it was just really more of a straight A to B action, piece, kind of thing. But, when I came in, I really wanted to at least attempt to make something a little bit deeper. That's why I created the Pettis character, Leon's character, created a few different scenarios that occur, throughout the story that use some twists and turns, some, alliances that are formed, alliances that are broken. So I went in and did that and, got it to a point where I felt like, we actually have some real, characters with substance, but also keeping in mind, like, look, it's an action film. And, even like when we screened it for a couple of audiences, it was the first time that I've actually had a chance to see it with audiences. Honestly, man, when it starts, it grabs people and it pretty much doesn't let go to the end. There's some levity in there, but, it's really cool. And then, yeah, with Bruce, man, I snuck a couple of selfies. I couldn't help it. You just can't. But like, we were challenged. I mean, we had like 21 days to shoot it. And so you just have to be game. Like when you get on set, like, in between setups, that's when I kind of, snuck, a couple of pictures and yeah, I get to hang out a little bit. But no, I just came in focused in the morning and, we have a lot of action, a lot of big pieces, but also a lot of character work. And, you start your day and it's just like, hey, we're off to the races, no sacrifices.
We've got some questions for you in the chat. So let's
Cool.
get to those. Let's see right here. Oh, wait, no, we've got, there's just the questions are coming fast and furious here. First, we got T-House says, "Hail Wes." It's great. People asking, where is the movie available? I think it's out today, right?
Yeah, it's out today. In 10 cities. If you go to my Instagram, it is at I am Wes Miller, and I have like a little picture of like the different theaters that they have it at. But then it's available all on the on-demand platforms, iTunes, or Apple TV now, Amazon, everybody. And, the only thing I would ask is like, if you watch it at home, please watch it with surround sound. A lot of love actually went into the sound mix because honestly, man, action movies, is really, about that bass, about the resignation, about touching, places deep inside. And and we're really happy with the sound mix. So the stereo is cool and all, but like, you know, you really get the immersive, you know, feeling, especially with all the gunfire and battles and stuff and explosions, you know, with the surround sound.
Cool. Robadob55 asked, do you lean into an actor like Willis's wheelhouse, or do you try to get him out of his comfort zone, similar to Robin Williams and Good Will Hunting?
I mean, good question, my man. I think in a piece like this, you lean into their wheelhouse. If it was a more of a dramatic material, where a deeper exploration into different character motivations, then you would try to nudge them out of their character zone a little bit. But with this one, you know, Willis is Willis, and people watch Bruce because he's Bruce, and so you do want to lean into it. But at the same time, you do want to challenge a little bit. So, for instance, you don't see Bruce play a lot of quote unquote bad guys. And I think if you watch, you know, once you watch the film, you'll realize like, all right, he's not really who he seems to be, which is part of the surprise and the intrigue and working through the material.
And T's House says, I love his gentle push of surround sound. It matters.
That it does, man.
I agree. I agree. We were talking about the Batman earlier and just how important the sound is. I mean, just when like you kind of save those moments, like for example, like when the Batmobile starts for the first time, it kind of shakes the whole theater. It's great. And then Leon of the New Geek says the Bose is always on during movie time.
All right, my man. Yes. You know, it's so funny because when we were mixing, you know, we mix it in 5.1, and then my sound designer would bounce it down to stereo, and we'd listen. I'd be like, nah, not the same, man. Just not the same. So I was like, no, go back to 5.1, man. Like, don't look at me like that. So yeah.
And T's House. Well, also there's a really funny comment here about what is it with directors and the name Wes? There's a lot of directors named Wes. I don't know.
I know what Wes Anderson. Who else we got?
Wes Craven.
Yeah, Wes Craven. Look, if the name Wes gets me in that talk in that category, I'm gonna ride with it all day, man. But no, I'm really happy with this one, man. I feel like I said in the infancy of my career. So if I can, you know, aspire to be a great Wes, you know, I will, and hopefully other Wes's come up and be like, hey, Wes Miller in that conversation one day.
Another question here from T's House. Wes, I'd love to know what got you into making films. How did you get your start, brother?
That's a long story, man. That's like 2 podcasts. But essentially, man, I practiced law for like 8 years. Film has really always been like my first love, man. Like even when I was in law school, you know, I watched The Rainmaker, The Verdict, you know, when you have those tough days, and that would kind of be like my motivation to help me get through school. And I started off as like a civil rights lawyer, and you know, a lawyer, you still kind of tell stories, you know, a trial lawyer and stuff. But even my office, just like it was decorated with legal movies. With my legal movie posters was around. That was my decoration. So I've always stayed there. And then like when DSLR started coming out, I was able to get that access to technology that I could actually make a cinematic image. Because, you know, back in the day was the Pixel 2000 and like these camcorders that say 24 FPS, and you'd be like, oh, I can finally do it. And you look at it and be like, nah, it's not the same. So that was it. And then, you know, I just made, you know, a decision. It's just like, hey, you know, it's time. Like, you know, so about 2015, I sold the practice. I had done a couple of little shorts and realized, hey, I got a little talent, but this is a craft and it's going to take hard work. And if you're going to do it, you got to be dedicated. You got to be ready to take the lumps, the bumps, and keep on rocking. So yeah, and then I just really learned how to write and tell stories, you know, in a filmatic and cinematic way, and still learning a lot. But yeah, that's it, man. And then just kind of met a few people who put me in contact with the other few people, and was just like, let's just make features. You know, I didn't do film school, so like, you know, all my films, you know, you get to witness all my mistakes, but I learned from each film and moving up, and you know, I think it really helped prepare me for this challenge. And then like, so watching you guys' podcast, no film school, like that was my film school. Like listening to these interviews, you know, people talking about the craft, hear people talk about films, like what they didn't like, you know, what the audiences really like look for. Yeah, man. So it was the Q&A podcast, like, you know, like literally that's been my film school, like you guys and these other film schools, man. That's just been the way I've learned.
Wow. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for that compliment. I mean, there's a lot. And I do feel like there's so many great filmmakers that had an unusual pathway. I mean, David Lynch started as a painter, right? In school, he went to school for, art and design. And, some people began, I mean, you began as a lawyer. I find, first of all, if you're going to have a skill, that's a useful skill in the film business to be an attorney.
Yeah.
So did that actually help you too? Like, because what people don't understand, like to really be successful as a filmmaker, you have to have like, not only be creatively minded, right? You got to be very business savvy. So how much of that being an attorney like helped you?
It helped a lot. It helped a few reasons. One, if I would have come in this like right out of college, I probably wouldn't have lasted long because I was really hot headed and like you get challenged a lot in this industry. And you have to be diplomatic and build relationships. And so like going to law school also helped expand my view of the world and different people and working with different clients from different areas of life, from really wealthy in the boardroom to very, poor, people that, I would just help for free. And it just gave me a huge appreciation in that storytelling sense. And then, yes, bringing it over to the business side, it's a grind. It's gruesome. And it is the show business. And, honestly, even right before doing this film, I had to ask myself, like, look, what kind of filmmaker do you really want to be? Do you want to try to make art house movies that get seen by 10 people, and if 5 critics don't like it, you will never, make anything else again? Or do you really want to be a commercial filmmaker, have a lot of people watch your work and like do something entertaining that you enjoy doing? And then also that would protect investors that are like, putting up money for movies. And yeah, man, so it helped me in that way. And also, there are a lot of people looking to take advantage of people in the film industry. And it gave me a little outlook on, all right, my BS meter, is a little higher, than it otherwise would be, because there are a lot of unscrupulous people. I'm not even gonna say guys, just people in the industry. So that was really helpful. So, sometimes I wish I would have started earlier, but then when I think about it, I'm like, nah, I needed those lessons to be able to do, to at least be somewhat effective doing this.
I like to say, I'm from Michigan, the Detroit area, and I having moved from there to Los Angeles, I definitely feel I have a highly tuned bullshit detector, and so many people are full of crap, and you just like want to know, like, well, who can I take seriously? Who lives up to their word? Who does what they say they're going to do? Right?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, it happens all the time. And speaking of Detroit, we actually mixed the film in Detroit, man. So I got to spend some time down there.
Yeah. There's a whole great filmmaking community in Detroit, like built. I mean, they shot parts of Batman v Superman in Detroit.
Yeah, they told me. We looked at some of the sites, man. So I'm from Memphis originally, so it's music in Memphis, music in Detroit, man. So it's that little love, that musical love between the cities. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, I got to see Hitsville, so I was like, that's pretty cool, man. So yeah.
More comments here. T-Saw says, that's awesome. Thanks for giving the long explanation, man. And Rabadob 55, I'm intrigued by your film. I'm definitely gonna give it a watch.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you. Hope you enjoy it, man.
Yeah. And Scott Slaughterbeck says, damn, a fellow Detroit guy, me too. Oh, I think that might be directed toward me. Memphis is awesome. So right now you're selling the film, you're on the promotional tour. That's got to be kind of a grind too. And we appreciate you talking to us here.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, man. And it's always like, for me, I feel like for me, craft wise, this is the first film where I'm like super confident as far as like going out, like promoting it, because I hate people who always be like, oh, look at what I did. Look at what I did. And you look at it and it's like really bad. It's like, no, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want you like, hey, come look at what I did. And it's not ready. It's not right. But I feel like with this one, at least craft wise, I'm really proud of it, and I do hope it lands with, the audiences that it's intended to land for. It is a fun ride. And I'm enjoying talking about it, man. And this is like I said, probably the first time that, I'm like really confidently standing behind, like, hey, all right, I think it's really good, guys. Like, and we watched it with the audience in Jackson and then Mississippi and then New York this week, and man, it's just an invaluable experience, man. So it was really cool.
It's super intense. Recommend that you check it out. Wes Miller, thank you for joining us on the Film Threat podcast today. It was a joy to chat with you. And thank you for your questions in the chat. You guys are awesome. Yeah. Wes, congrats on the movie. And when you make your next movie, can you come back and chat with us again?
I will, man. And thanks, and keep doing what you do, man. I'm sure there are a lot more filmmakers who watch and learn, and, you know, hopefully somebody listen to this and maybe a little bit more motivated. Because honestly, if I can do it, you can too. Like, you can. It's hard work. Don't quit. But keep going. I
love your story too, that you went from being an attorney to, you know, in the industry. I think that's just really inspiring. And T-South says the way Wes speaks on film with so much obvious love for the art form really makes me want to check his movie out even more. So Wes, you're a good salesperson.
No, I appreciate it, man. It's all love, man. This is honest as honest can be, man. It's just, you know, is it.
Well, congratulations, and thanks for talking to us on the Film Threat podcast. We'll see you when your next movie comes out. I appreciate it.
Okay, thanks, guys. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
All right, take care.
All right, later. Have a good one. All right.
You too. Bye. All right, Wes. What a great guy. That was awesome.
I know.
That
I want to see this movie now.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, we gotta get a review back up on the site. All right, so let's pivot back to our Batman conversation that we're having. And there's other movies we could talk about today, but I think people want to talk about the Batman.
Yeah.
It really is the biggest thing. So we're going to keep it focused on that. We do have a super chat that came in while Wes was chatting, and don't worry, I will not forget those. I will not forget those. Robin Up 5 says that was awesome. Yeah. So what we're trying to do with our Friday live streams is do kind of a variety. So what we'll do is we'll talk about whatever the big movie opening that day is, and then we'll talk about some of the smaller indie movies like or movies in limited release, let's say, like Mother Schmuckers or A Day to Die, like all that, and then we'll bring on filmmakers. We want to bring on filmmakers because we want to give you the opportunity to chat with filmmakers and ask them your questions. And we've had some really good guests. And what's interesting is, especially at the independent level, how open people are to helping other people out, like with advice. So if you have really specific questions, we've had filmmakers like give out their email addresses for like how to contact them, or like give really specific advice on the industry. So this is your way to have access to people in the industry. So our Friday live stream, movie reviews, filmmaker interviews, and chat with you. That's what we're doing going forward. And I hope that you like it. So thanks a lot. Someone says, thank God for Film Threat, because movies like that would be lost in the shuffle. They do. I mean, this is kind of my issue, and this is why Film Threat exists, is a movie like The Batman, which is a big movie, and we're going to keep talking about it, but they take the oxygen out of the room. There are other movies that are out there. And for me, like, I pretty much watch at least one movie a day. I know that seems weird, but yeah, I watch like a movie a day. Sometimes I'll watch, if I can get like a bunch of 90-minute movies, I could watch 5 movies in a day. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. So, and thank you, T-South Film Threat, doing important work, gents. Yes, be a part of what we're trying to do is build up a community, because I believe that, you know, part of also our you know, is to kind of push back against these big Hollywood blockbusters and let people know that there are other choices out there. Yeah, I'm going to see the big Batman movie. I will see the new Jurassic Park. I'm excited about that one, mainly because, like, hey, they reunited the trio from the original Jurassic Park. Who'd have thunk that would be such a good idea? I wonder if there's some other franchises maybe they should have done that for. But no.
Yeah, you know, I was talking with Duran Isabel from God of Dreams, and we were just talking about how I don't think independent filmmakers really rely on the big studios to A, fund their movies, and B, tell their stories. You know, right. they're gonna have all these requirements behind your story, and you know, we need to continue to support independent film, because that's the only way we're gonna, you know, let artists be artists and tell what they want to tell in their movies and films.
Well, I think it's important to have and thank you, Leon of the New Geeks. You knew I was referencing Star Wars without saying those words, but thank you for that. But no, it's to me, you have to have a balanced media diet. If you only exist to watch Star Wars stuff or spectacle Hollywood stuff, I believe that can end up being a hollow existence, because for the most part, most of it is garbage. most of it is garbage. And there'll be a few things that kind of squeak through, like the Batman, which I'm generally positive on. I have nitpicks. About the Batman, which I spoke about previously, but for the most part, and I'm going to see the Batman again, but for the most part, I really think that it's important to have a balanced diet where you're watching an indie film here, something kind of small, and then whatever the big movie that's opening, you got to go see it. You got to check it out. So of course people know I'm cough, Star Wars cough, is lag bait.
Yeah, we made it an hour 20 minutes to get to Star Wars.
Exactly. Cotton getting back here. Let's get Cotton. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it.
30-second dance party.
All right. We can't keep doing that every time. Cotton for $9.99 super chat says more of Bruce Alfred relationship, showing that side of Bruce. If he's going to be Batman in and out of the suit, at least give us that version of Bruce with Alfred. How long it was they could have. I agree. Like more, I think what was sacrificed for some of the convoluted exposition and story elements in the second half of the film, when they get to the reveal of the dark past of the Wayne family and the Arkham family and how they're connected to the corruption in Gotham, that I think would have actually, I don't think you need it. And I think the movie would have been better served with more character moments. Yeah. In particular, you're right, Cotton. Bruce and Alfred, right? Why is there, they have this familial relationship. He's the surrogate father to Bruce. More of that. And then also, I would have liked a little bit more like Jim Gordon and Batman are just working together. How there could have been a reference or a line to like, well, it's so funny. Like he does make a reference like, I don't even know who you are, man. And then like this other thing where he talks about like it might have been nice to just have a line of like, maybe, look, when I met you 2 years ago, I thought you were a nutcase, but blah, blah, blah. Like, there's just, I think the issue I have with the film is once it gets to that exposition about the past, it all happens. It's all things that have happened. And we're hearing people tell us what happened. Yeah. We're not, it's like when they say show, don't tell. And I think by telling you it's less emotionally impactful. And I feel it's convoluted in particular. And I noticed it again. It stood out as a flaw. Upon second viewing, when the Riddler kind of releases this mini documentary he's made over whatever social media platform, they're never specific about the social media platform. It's interesting. It's
Discord. That's all. I'll just say it.
Yeah. It was on Discord or I don't know, 4chan, whatever. It's whatever it was. Like he put together a mini documentary, and this wasn't like a television report. There was just too many of the like going to TV to fill us in on what's happening. And although that's like a trope, right? Like Nolan's used it. It's used in a lot of, it's a lazy thing in a lot of movies, but what it does is it doesn't emotionally connect you. It just sort of catches you up story-wise or re-emphasizes something that, the audience, so the audience can keep up. And I don't think it's as impactful. Yeah. And I think that the movie would have been better served by, as Cotton pointed out, more character moments, Alfred and Bruce's relationship, the relationship with Jim Gordon and Batman. It's just firmly established and that's it. And we accept it. And that's okay. But I would have liked a little bit more background or just a little bit. And what's so funny is actually seeing the movie last night with a bunch of friends. What stood out also was the movie. There's funny moments. There are funny. There's not like winky humor with one-liners and sort of cheeky humor. It's no situational that's ridiculous. So
well, you just talked about one of the funny moments. It was the Riddler's video and his Discord server. I mean,
right. Or just like I loved reading actually the comments. Like now that I could I'm just paying attention to like reading like the comments that are on the side during that. It's so funny. Leon of the New Geek says, I thought Gordon would have been his Watson to Batman's Holmes. Guess not. Yeah, like Gordon could have contributed more. They could have been more of a team. I think Gordon was just sort of, saying, Batman, I don't know, can you do my job for me? Like
well, that was Burt Ward, Adam West. That was their relationship, Watson and Holmes.
Yeah, I guess it's just like, yeah, but like Robin even like, would guess a bunch of the Riddler's riddles. I do like that aspect. It really stood out as great. Like that first riddle like,
Yeah.
you know,
it harkened back to Adam West.
it did. It had
I love
elements of
that.
that, but creepy as hell. And by the way, people
The
have been
thumb
asking,
drive. I mean,
people have been asking about this. I made that. It's very simple. I got a green envelope. I just took a still from the trailer and I wrote that on it. And then what I did was I just left it outside. I left it outside and kind of crumpled it a little bit. So, and then I took photos of it at the Burbank AMC in front of that Batman statue. If you've ever been there, it's awesome. And people
is there a
thought
card in it?
no. But people thought there was a scavenger hunt happening. And I'm like, nah, I just made this. You can make it. So, Soup Can says, I really wish they didn't have the Nirvana song in the Batman. Really out of place and takes you out of the movie. They paid so much money for it. They had to use it twice. It didn't bother me. It didn't bother me. It felt like, I mean, that's sort of a trope now. And like in trailers, you know, I mean, it's, you know, to take like a classic song and sort of do you know, an acoustic version. I mean, this is the version of that song. So they didn't do that, but it fit for the trailer for the movie. It didn't bother me that much, but I can see how it would take you out. There were a couple things that took me out of the movie, in particular, you know, that Catwoman line, but it didn't bug me as much the second time. It just like, it wasn't set up so that it didn't feel right to the universe. Alan, you have thoughts on that?
Well, and you knew it was coming, you know, the second time, I should say.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, I wasn't bothered at all by the Nirvana song. I think I stated in the review, I think Matt Reeves told a good broad story, but the subplots and some of the minor elements, I think he didn't develop it well. And, you know, I think that's indicative of the comments we're getting here.
Tease House 2 on the nose. And then Bill 4393. I guess Bill 4392 was taken. And that's why Bill 4393 probably means something to Bill. I just want to say, Bill, and wasn't this guy in Midnight's Edge recently? Yes, I was. I do other shows. I have been on Film Courage, which if you look up my name, Chris Gore, and you look up Film Courage, I do videos for them. I am a recurring guest on Midnight's Edge, and on occasion, every once in a while, I'll be on Friday Night Tights. So, Bill, I'm just confirming it. Confirming it, Bill. And yes, Midnight's Edge, another great. It's a great show that is like, I mean, they get good guests. They take an in-depth look and there you go. But what's going to be in this Batman sequel? I would, rather than a sequel, I'd rather see a TV series. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to be, I really think that I'd rather see a Batman television series. In the chat, let me know what you would think. But like, there is in terms of villains, Batman probably has, when you look at like, say for example, Wonder Woman, Superman. I mean, Superman has Lex Luthor. That's cool. But when are we ever going to get Mr. Mxyzptlk in a Superman?
Also, that's a DCEU movie.
Right. How do you pronounce Mxyzptlk? I always was like, it's Mxyzptlk.
And then how do you pronounce it backwards?
Yeah. So, comment here, Rabadob55 says, my biggest complaint is how the F did they get Batman all the way to the police station unconscious and no one thought to take off his mask?
Yeah.
And then they made a big deal in the cell about his mask. Yeah, I mean, that's one of those like, that's one of those like movie things where it's just sort of, it's a suspension of disbelief. It's like, all right, well, they got him to the thing and there you go. So
yeah, but I thought the exact same thing. It's like, how is it, you know, someone there has to be smart enough to think of doing that. And
right. Leon of the New Geeks, and thank you. You had so many great comments, Leon. Film Courage is why I'm here. What you said about Hollyweird and the franchise botches, Chef's Kiss. Well, thank you, Leon. I feel what's weird is ever since I started doing those Film Courage videos, I can't tell you how many people quietly in the industry reach out to me and have said, love what you're saying. I love what you're saying. Thank you for saying that out loud. There's a lot of people who feel that Hollywood has gone the wrong direction and people are afraid to point that out. Mm-hmm. And so I guess sort of even from the beginning, early stages of Film Threat, will call out bullshit in the industry, and then also champion indie films as a way to go, hey, you don't have to just watch the Hollywood big budget movies. There's this other kind of film out there. There is world cinema, there's Asian cinema, there's all sorts of different, you have different choices, right? If you're just going down one aisle of the supermarket, you're going to get bored of that food. You got to go down some different aisles. And I've always said that. So, a lot of people quietly, I'd love to be able to say the names. I just don't know that like they would want themselves outed.
Mm-hmm.
But what can you say? Thank you. And then Bill 4393 is back with another comment. Isn't there rumors of a live action Batman TV series? Yeah, it's a Gotham City PD, and there's also a Penguin television series in development. I don't know if that's with Colin Farrell. Let's hope so. I think they really built this world amazing. And I got vibes of like Tony Soprano in there a little bit, which I thought was.
Well, I was thinking Robert Duvall.
Yeah. Oh, wait. Leon of the New Geek says, I clipped that film Courage vid and tag you in it on Twitter, and people loved it. It needed to be said. What they did to Star Wars and Zack Snyder's Justice League was terrible. Oh, thanks. Did you tag me? I didn't see it. Also, by the way, I hate Twitter. I like Twitter. Twitter I begrudgingly use mostly to promote things. I don't really use Twitter to have conversations because I think it's a terrible place to have a conversation. I have found that the nuance of YouTube, being able to explain yourself, correct yourself if you make a mistake. I've made mistakes live, or I've, spaced like, what was the name of that movie, or what was that actor's name? And thank you to the chat whenever you correct me, or we'll expand on some knowledge. It's very useful. I really like YouTube as a platform to have a conversation we're all having together. So I appreciate that. T's House, I like what you said earlier about 90-minute movies, Chris. When are we going to see 90-minute blockbusters again? Or 90-minute comedies? It really is like a choice, right? Like, okay, yesterday when I saw The Batman, I saw the 3 p.m. show, right? Because specifically I wanted a time, like I knew that there would be 20 minutes of trailers and we were going to watch it till the end. So we didn't get out of there till almost 6:30. And it's like, okay, now it's time for dinner. But literally if you go in at 7, you get out, you're getting out at 10:30. You're probably hungry. And also I like to talk about a movie when I'm done watching it. Like, I don't want to just like see it. I want to like talk about it. So but some really good comments here. So let's go through them. Rabadab 55 says, could you just imagine a 10 episode season series like comic runs, one villain with one extravagant plot that Batman has to unravel? You could run that for years. I agree. Yeah. Batman is made for television, episodic TV.
And they're doing it now with other characters. You could do it with Batman.
Yeah. Wouldn't mind a Batman series on TV if it was done by someone like Aaron at Bat in the Sun. Oh, yes. Aaron at Bat in the Sun. If you have not seen those Bat in the Sun videos, just look up Bat in the Sun on YouTube. He does these, God, calling them fan films is almost like they're beyond fan films. I mean, Aaron is a professional filmmaker, and what they've been able to do, on a small budget is, I mean, they should hire him, right? Like he could be one of the directors and be involved in the production. I don't know why that hasn't been thought about. And Leon, love talking about movies. Yeah, we do as well. That's kind of why we're all here. So yeah. No, wait. And then Soup Can says, I thought that emblem on a Batman's chest was a detachable batarang. I'm disappointed that it didn't get put to use. Actually, that's not true. It did. It's real quick. You might have like, if you went to the bathroom at the wrong spot, you would have missed it.
Yeah.
And because this is going to be a weird story, but I only have one kidney. I was born that way. It's very rare. It gives me the mutant superpower to urinate 3 times more than the average person. I have to plan, especially when it's a long movie. I have to plan when I'm drinking, when I'm going to all right, I'm going to the bathroom. I know I'm seeing this movie multiple times. I'm going to go to the bathroom at this point. So I know I'm going to miss this, but the next time I see it, I'll go to the bathroom at a different place. But a 3-hour movie, I'm going to go to the bathroom at least once. Bill 4393 says, by the way, Chris, did you ever see the Birds of Prey TV series? Because Batman briefly appeared in that. I never saw that. But Bat in the Sun from Leon of the New Geek says, Bat in the Sun, they first broke onto the scene on OG YouTube with Batman versus Predator. Check it out. That Batman versus Predator thing is insane. That I really think that inspired also Zack Snyder as well, the portrayal of Batman in that. So, and Cotton says, FNT, yeah, I'll be watching FNT. I'll be saying hi to some people there. Friday Night Tights is sort of the Justice League or the Avengers, if you will, of nerds, and I'm kind of a side character. Every once in a while I'll pop on there. So there you go. Yes, I've met Aaron as well. Lagbait says Aaron is a cool guy. He likes to hang out with the fans and talk comics and upcoming projects. Yeah, super cool. I've met him before and chatted with him. Super talented. I just don't. Why is he not working professionally? I don't know. It really bothers me in this sense that like you know when a franchise has like people behind it that are super fans. And then you also can spot when they're not, they have a misunderstanding of the material. And I would say that is that's Star Wars. Star Wars, I believe, has been mishandled as a, you know, just as like a fan of Star Wars, you look at the way that franchise was handled. The sequels are a disaster. Cotton says, love the Lord of the Rings special episode you did with Nerdrotic Man. That's what turned me on to your channel. Did I do? No, wait, I don't think.
No, it's Film Courage. Well, I mean, I know you did it with Film Courage.
Film Courage, and then we talked about it. But yeah, no, I didn't. I haven't done that with. I mean, Gary knows way more about Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings, I am a normie. I am a fan of the movies, and I've never read the books. So Lord of the Rings, don't consider myself an expert. But a fan of those movies because they're very good movies, great storytelling. And I'm told, still not 100% accurate to Tolkien's material, but what are you going to do? It's, 3-hour movies. It's epic. It's also a Lord of the Rings, the original Peter Jackson series, not The Hobbit, but that series, we don't talk about it all that much because it's great. There's not much to complain about or re-examine. And that Batman Alien Predator is called Dead End. Batman Dead End. Yeah, phenomenal. So yeah, thank you for all the love in the chat. I really do appreciate it. I think we're going to pivot for a second because we got to wrap this up by 11. Wait, did we get another super chat in here?
We just did.
Okay, let's go. Mark Savonen, hi from Finland for a 5 of something from Finland. I don't know what that is, but thank you for that, Mark Savonen. Hi from Finland. One problem in big movies today is that many are made for children or their children. Yes, I agree. And I'll say this. The Batman is not for kids. And that's I think, like the thing you can say that I'll heap high praise on it. This is not for children at all. Definitely not for kids. And that's good. I really want to see more adult filmmaking. I feel like you see it more in the realm of indie film. Most independent films are targeting adults, adult-minded. And so, yeah. I thank you for that, Mark. Yeah. Like most of the blockbusters, they dumb them down, and there are certain aspects, and maybe it's the aspect of like the television constantly, revealing exposition. That can be a bit irritating, but that's a studio note. You can kind of tell when it's a studio note. Real quick, did you see the Batman 1945 fan re-edit of Batman 89? I did not. Paranormal Adventures, but I would love to see that.
I'm trying to wrap my head around that one.
Have you seen this? I'm going to put myself full screen for a second, Alan, to show off this book. This is from Giant Panda King. It's a hardcover book that details, it's an unauthorized, detailed account of Gotham from 1919 to 1939. It's put out by an Australian filmmaker who put together like a book of photos. It's like a Prohibition era Batman set in the 20s and 30s that is phenomenal. And when you look at the photos in this book, I mean, it's insane, the detail that you'll see in this, and how he hired actors, did photo shoots, and put together like some insanely cool, like it just like he built out the world of Gotham as if it really existed. And this is kind of a tribute to all of that. It's and thank you for Scott Slaughterback says it's Euro. Like it's an interpretation of it from that era, like Harvey Dent, like so like incredible, like Lucius Fox, like bringing like the world of Batman into a realistic 1930s, like 1920s, 1930s. It's so layered, so detailed. I mean, like, I cannot recommend this book enough. Just look up Giant Panicking. The other thing is, this is highly illegal. Like this book is not, there's no like licensing or copyright, but my feeling is that like Matt Reeves must have been aware of this at least, because this book has been around for a while, but he did a low run. Only a couple thousand copies of this exist. And this book is not cheap. I think it's like $80 and it ships from Australia. So just cannot recommend it enough. It's a gruesome book. It's a great coffee table thing. So pick that up. Pick it up. It's pretty awesome. So yeah. Okay. Now let's just go back here. Paranormal Adventures. I would love to see that. You can email me if you go to filmthreat.com/contact. That goes directly to Alan, and I will see your correspondence. So just go to filmthreat.com/contact, email it. That goes to both Alan and I. And if you want to talk to me or Alan or whoever, we will chat with you.
Yep.
Let's pivot real quick to something that has been we're going to pivot from Batman for a moment, but I assure you, you're going to like this. You're going to like our next conversation. The Star Wars Galaxy Hotel. It's launched. Is it worth $6,000? Let's discuss. I have now, when we first talked about it, Alan, we did a video earlier where we discussed the Star Wars Galaxy Hotel. At that point, the videos and social media, embargo was lifted, and we got a glimpse of it. But I spent that last weekend watching a lot of videos, including other channels, videos by Ryan Cannell and Drunk 3PO Jay from his channel, Drunk 3PO, along with I watched a lot of travel channels, along with Ordinary Adventures, among others. I watched hours and hours and hours of this Galaxy Hotel, and I think it's embarrassing. I think the entire thing is embarrassing. Alan, before I get into, I have really specific reasons for why I think this thing is a disaster and is going to be repurposed into dinner theater, because that's effectively what it is. But Alan, what are your thoughts now that we've had more time to kind of look at it?
So, I mean, I take to heart the comments that have been given, because we have not been there. We don't, we have not experienced it. And I doubt Disney is going to give us a chance to do that unless we shell out $6,000. But I have been watching people I've tried to watch people who've actually gone and kind of work my way through who's kind of shilling for Disney and who's giving us an honest opinion. Mm-hmm. And my opinion hasn't changed a whole lot. It does feel like dinner theater. The sense I get is the reason I mentioned before, but the reason this will fail is because the market for it is so small. I have to believe only Star Wars fans are going to be interested in something like this. I don't think you can really gather people who don't know Star Wars. And then the sense I get is that this is basically a Star Wars escape room. It's, you're in it, you're a character, you're fully immersed in the story. And I will say that idea right there shrinks the Star Wars fandom down even more, because, not everyone's comfortable with interacting like that. Not everyone's a cosplayer, a LARPer, a D&D fan. And I think this is perfectly set up for them. And so, and the cost itself, you realize how many people are involved, the technology involved, the people they're hiring as cast members for this story. I just, even if it was popular, I don't know how it could sustain itself economically. And that's why I think, by the end of summer, it's going to convert to dinner theater and become a giant store, a giant Star Wars store.
Yeah, well, a couple things. One, I actually got to see some more expanded videos from Galaxy's Edge. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it is built around you're looking at your phone constantly, because you're getting chat messages.
It's on the app, and
it's on the app. So you have to go to so you're constantly on your phone, and then you're involved in these like one of the things is Chewbacca is brought aboard so-called the Star Cruiser, the Halcyon, and you have to like kind of hide Chewbacca. Rey actually comes on the ship at one point. What it sounds like is people playing and pretending Star Wars, which I used to do as a kid for free in my backyard with other kids. We would play Star Wars. We would choose to be certain characters and we would play. I even like, okay, this is going to sound really weird. I remember getting in an argument with, I'm a little kid. Okay, please. I'm probably like 12, 13 years old, with some friends who loved playing Dungeons and Dragons. And when they showed me what Dungeons and Dragons was, it's like, you go here and like, you know, we're sitting with this, you know, all the, you know, the board and whatever, and like you've got to, it's all in your head. And I'm like, why don't we just go outside and get sticks, pretend they're swords, and just beat the crap out of each other? That sounds like more fun to me. Like, let's go outside. Yes, I grew up at a time when you used to go outside and play, and then around dinner time you had to like go back to your house. So I don't know that culture kind of exists anymore, but it reminded me of like, oh, I used to just play Star Wars as a kid and use my imagination and not pay anyone $6,000 to just play and pretend. And when I saw some of these adults like partaking in this, I felt sad for them. Like, it just felt, there's this sort of sinking sadness. I thought to myself, like, for $6,000, and this has been pointed out on some of these other live streams, like you could actually refit a child's bedroom for $6,000 and make it look better than one of the rooms from the hotel and totally Star Wars-ify it, right? Like, yeah. So it just was, it just makes me feel sad for our modern day that we've sort of taken imagination away, right? Like everything in terms, you know, of like the things that I used to do as a kid. Look, we didn't have as sophisticated as video games, and I was able to just like, we were forced to use our imagination to play, and that's effectively what you're bringing people in this into this for, and it just comes off as sad. And I will say this, Patrick, I'm going to get to your comments right now too, because I want to get the chat involved here. But Patrick Lemire says, didn't Star Trek try something similarly immersive in Las Vegas? I think it's still there. It was
no, it's gone. The Star Trek experience is gone.
The Star Trek experience at the Hilton, it no longer exists. They shut it down. They shut it down like over a decade ago.
Yeah.
But what they did was amazing. I did it. It was incredible.
Oh, I've done it many times.
It was so great because you remember you walk through the line, and it was like when you walked in the line to get into it, it ends up being like sort of a museum of the history of Star Trek. It's incredible. Then when you get to the experience of yourself, you are on the Enterprise and the bridge, and people are acting, and there's things happening. You're sort of in this area. Then you're sort of whisked away, and then you make it onto a shuttle that lands on the top of the Las Vegas Hilton. It's hilarious. But the whole experience,
and then there's the Borg experience as well.
The Borg experience, yeah. There's like, so the whole experience lasts maybe, is it like 20 minutes or so? And then you get out and you go to this Star Trek like restaurant where you can get like it's
Quark's.
It's Quark's bar, and they had like, oh my god, like
the onion rings of Beta Z.
All the food is Star Trek themed. There are people walking around, like they had Klingons walking around, people like in character. There was a store, like a gift shop. I remember buying like Klingon and Vulcan beer from that place, which was great. I bought a case of that. But yeah, the Star Trek experience was awesome. It was like, it was over quick. It was reasonably priced. You know, you go to the restaurant, you kind of, I mean, they had, what was it? I want to remember the warp core reactor was this punch bowl drink that was like meant for like 4 people. It had like these big straws, and it was blue, and it was the warp core. I think it was like the warp core reactor.
Yeah.
And oh my God, I love that Star Trek experience.
Yeah. My wife and I, every time we went to Las Vegas, we would always do the Star Trek experience. We'd always eat at Quark's. You know, the Star Trek experience where you're teleported is amazing. Then you have this 3D Borg thing, and I always say it's an experience where you can get beamed and probed at the same time.
But it was, yeah, they did have Ferengi there, lag bait,
Yeah.
which was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And no, it was just like an experience that was like, it was affordable, right? Because you're paying to go on what effectively is kind of a ride and a little show. You wait in line and get this whole history, like artifacts from the history of Star Trek,
which is free.
Which is free. You're just waiting in line. Then you get up to the front, you pay to get into the experience. You do the experience, and then you go and have dinner. I mean, the whole thing. And then, optionally you can buy whatever gift shop stuff. This $6,000 thing is just, it's embarrassing. And I'm gonna let's get through some of the comments. And I gotta say, Fulcinelli sends a $10 super sticker. Thank you,
Thank you.
fucking Fulcinelli. I think it's fucking. Oh my God. I've mispronounced everything and my apologies. But Bill 4393 says, OMG, that lame Ray Kylo fight on the balcony, plus Ray nearly bends down to swap the lightsaber over. Yeah, that was very awkward. Yeah, it's people are saying that thing was just incredibly awkward. Everyone has panned the ridiculous Star Wars hotel thing. That's not true. I would say this. I would say that people talking about it and observing it have panned it. We've only gotten reviews from people who were invited guests. We have not as yet gotten reviews from people who paid for the experience.
Yeah.
There's a blogger, YouTuber named Jenny Nicholson, who I followed for years. Her commentary, she's very much into the Star Wars sequels. She has some really good takes. If you look up Jenny Nicholson, she has paid to go to the Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser, the Halcyon. I am really interested because she is a paying customer and she's going there for the experience. I'm interested. What do people who have paid to do it? How are they going to review it? And here's what I think. They're not going to give it necessarily a bad review because they'll have to admit that they've wasted $6,000. Think about it. I mean, Alan also.
Yeah, no, it's buyer's remorse. I don't know if that's the term, but
a little bit of buyer's remorse, and like you don't want to be like embarrassed by it. Like, you spent all this money on. I mean, look, you could buy a car for $6,000, right? Like, I'm going on a vacation with my girlfriend to Hawaii, and it's half of the price of this Galactic Star Cruiser thing. And on top of that, not only on top of the $6,000, you have to pay for clothing to kind of blend in. That's optional, right? They offer you this exclusive
the lightsabers,
the clothing line, all the other stuff you have to buy to go to it. And then also alcohol is an upcharge. And of course, any merch that you're going to buy, you're not given something exclusive. I mean, I guess if you go there, maybe steal all the towels, but everyone's panned it, but I really want to see, I think it's the people observing from the outside. I mean, I'm just looking at it going like, I feel sorry for people that like have to pay $6,000 to pretend when, look, when my kids were young, we would play games and pretend. We would pretend and play stupid games, and it was fun because they're at that age where, it feels real to them. Right.
Yeah.
So, asking Patrick Lemire, is it like Galaxy's Edge, like no OT content? That's right. No original trilogy content. None.
In fact, I saw someone who did do both, who paid for it and did the press thing. And, it is a brand new story. It's not related to anything. It takes place in the sequels and has characters you don't know. Yeah.
Right. Well, I want to point out an article that I wrote a couple years ago, just to point everyone to this. You can go to filmthreat.com. You can look this up. I'll post this in the chat if you want to give this a look. So it's an article I wrote years ago about 5 ways to fix Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. I'm going to go through this real quickly. I wrote this article having gone to Galaxy's Edge. And by the way, I went for free because a friend of mine who works there kind of got me in. And it was, I felt embarrassed. One, it wasn't original trilogy. The other thing is, if you want to get alcohol there, you have to go to Oga's Cantina. You have to go there, and then you have a 45-minute window to actually be able to enjoy. Like, I could not get a buzz on. I'm Irish. It takes a lot. It takes a lot, and the alcohol there, while interesting, I did not love it. But I encourage you to go check this article out. Maybe I'll write a similar one. I feel like I'm just suggesting things to kind of improve it. I feel like there should have been parades like they have. I thought it was embarrassing to just have a couple characters, there's like these, all the additional activities require like an additional fee, like the lightsaber experience. I mean, it just seems weird. And then I did do a video. I did do a video where I'm kind of, in a way, a little ribbing, a little mocking of some of these channels. So check out my one and only travel channel video, Gore's Tours, and it's on the Film Threat YouTube channel. I'll link it in the description. But in any case, this is Patrick. So it's a haunted house that you sleep in, except somehow Palpatine returned. It's weird because they even like set it in the world of, it's between, The Last Jedi and Force Awakens, which is like,
why? Yeah, why?
Why? It's not based on the original trilogy. Like, to me, it's like, look, if this was sort of an off adventure of like Han, Luke, and Leia, and you're somehow caught up in it, but as a $6,000 experience, I just don't see this working. So I don't know. Like, I mean, Alan, you're also like a theme park fan. You have been a Disney annual pass holder. Is this something that you would consider going, say, taking your daughter to? And what do you think she would think of it?
Yeah, my daughter is not into role playing at all. And so she would be absolutely bored, and it'd be a lot of me trying to get her to do things. And it's like, that's not a vacation, and I'm not going to pay $6,000 to do that. As an improviser, I think I would have fun doing it, but I would be more or less screwing around with people, and I get a feeling that would not be appreciated by cast members. And so right there, it's like, well, and then with all these experiences, you have to upcharge for it to get a lightsaber, to get costumes. I'm spending $6,000. How is this not incorporated in that price? It's just value. I think it comes down to value. If it were a lot cheaper, I would consider it, but this is just way too expensive, and it's not going to work.
Yeah, I think that those Disney, and the one thing is the actors, phenomenal. It's the one thing that you can't actually criticize. The actors who are doing this, they're staying in character for hours while they're walking around, in this hotel, and then having to interact with people, right? Like, and sort of create these quests, or, it's like you described it as an escape room. There are kind of escape room elements to it, but it's more like it's more of a quest. It's more of, I don't know, just like a treasure hunt. Like, you're trying to make certain things happen and feel like you're a part of it. But it just, for me, I just felt sad watching these videos with the people who were, who got to go for free. And I feel like that those reviews immediately off the bat, I don't think people are going to trust it. I did read some of the written reviews of it, and I think that there's more honesty kind of between the lines. Someone described it as a bunker with no windows in one of the articles that I read. Bill 4393 says, did you see Rey actually bending down to swap a lightsaber and the lame fight with Kylo? Yeah, I watched like 3 different versions of it. And
I can't get myself to watch that. I just can't get myself to do it.
And then here's the other thing. If you've been watching the videos, you've seen it. Why would you go now? You already know what happened. Let
me comment about the cast members who are involved in this and interacting with the crowd. I wonder, how long will this remain fun for them? To come to work every week, every day, to do this. I'm wondering how they're going to keep, the constant flow of new cast members going through. Because it's got to be a lot of money to train these people.
No, and the thing is this, I mean, I watched some of the stuff where they were showing the quests and whatnot, and I was actually really impressed. Like the fact that like these people could stay in character, but why is this not part of just Galaxy's Edge? Why didn't Galaxy's Edge optionally, not paying a surcharge, but optionally you're at Galaxy's Edge and you go on, you can using an app at least to sort of kick it off, but you're not always looking at your phone, at least kick off some sort of adventure. My understanding is just because I have a friend that works in the theme park business that that was originally the plan. Originally the plan that there was supposed to be smugglers and resistance members evading the First Order, and it was all taking place within Galaxy's Edge. So if you're there at the right time in the right place, all these events are kind of happening in front of you. And they decided not to do that at the last minute. And then what's so funny is most of the actors and people who were involved in that, they went to go work at Knott's and they restaged it. They rewrote those scripts. No, this is true. They rewrote.
That's amazing.
They rewrote the scripts to be about cowboys, and they rob a bank, and they actually steal like the safe out of the bank, and there's like a chase and a shootout, and you're kind of in the middle of it. If you're in your right place at the right time, when at Knott's, like this all kind of takes place in Ghost Town, which is like this old Western town. And they just kind of took sort of vaguely what the plot and storyline was, which was originally going to be done at Galaxy's Edge, and they put it at Knott's.
I have so much more respect for Knott's Berry Farm.
Knott's is cool, but like Knott's is like, and also like their annual pass is super cheap. Yeah. Although they do it's part of the calendar year, right? So it's like if you buy it, you know, December 1st, it expires, you know, on December 31st.
Yeah, and we paid extra and we get free meals twice a day. You know, you can literally go there every day and have dinner, lunch and dinner.
Right. So check out this article, 5 Ways to Fix Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. It's on the Film Threat, filmthreat.com. But I want to get through some of these things. Yeah, open bar. Look, if you're paying $6,000, it should be like a cruise where most of the drinks are free. If you want maybe an upscale drink, fine. But
I understand that's how it is. I mean, the meals are all inclusive. It's basically a cruise. So you do not get to get specialty drinks for free, but you do have to pay for those. But everything else, it's free.
Right. Lagbait says, do you think they were going for the status of going to a $6,000 Disney vacation? Is that a thing? Yeah, there is a Disney vacation club, I guess.
DVC, yeah. It's a timeshare.
It's like a timeshare, which timeshares are not a good investment. There is actually a company that makes money to get you out of paying your timeshare because people end up not using them and it ends up being a complete waste of money. You know what? You're better off doing like an Airbnb thing or whatever. But I just, you know, I've just sort of been saddened by this. Bill 4393 says, I saw a video of someone reviewing the food there. Some food even has some weird green stuff on it. Yeah. What's weird is the people sitting there going like, and this is a Kashyyyk steak from a Tatooine bantha Jello. And you're like, can I just kind of know what it is? Like, you can have the fun name and then just tell me, you know, am I eating lamb? What's going on here? Is this vegan?
It's loaded with peanuts, but they won't tell you.
I don't know. Mark Clement says 5 ways to fix Star Wars Galaxy's Edge doesn't involve a trash compactor. It should. But yeah, check out the video that I made that goes along with this. I'll post it in the chat here at some point. But you know, it's I don't know. Oh, by the way, Chris, you can actually get blue and green milk there. The green milk looks disgusting. Yeah, I kind of made fun of that. Like, it's just I don't know. It's kind of like almond milk, but with coloring, but it has like it's kind of frothy. I don't know.
I don't know. I always say, you know, they say that, you know, what you see has a lot to do with what you taste.
Why would you go, says Lagbait. They have space bingo, Chris. Yeah, they have space bingo and they teach you some space dance. I mean, a lot of it to me is like, I'm looking at it, it feels more Star Trek than Star Wars. And I feel like if they were going to skin it Star Wars, they would have done original trilogy. But my understanding is, having read up on this, I really went down a rabbit hole last weekend. After we talked about, I went down a huge rabbit hole with this stuff. But my understanding is that when Lucas sold the rights to Star Wars to Disney, he sold the rights for them to make new Star Wars content, new movies, new television shows, animated shows. The whole idea was, I'm going to sell you the rights to make new stuff, but if they use the old stuff, you have to pay a license fee back to Lucas, which is why the original trilogy and legacy characters are used so little. And my theory is, going back to long ways, when Josh Trank originally was working on a Star Wars property, I think he was working on the Boba Fett movie. That was the rumor at the time. And then Josh Trank ended up leaving that project, the sort of adding to a list of filmmakers who've had bad experiences working with Lucasfilm. And he left the project. And my feeling is that what he developed ended up becoming The Mandalorian. The Mandalorian could have just been Boba Fett, right? Like Boba Fett somehow gets out of the Sarlacc pit and, whatever. But I mean, The Mandalorian is the best Star Wars that Disney has produced. Although, I don't know. I have mixed feelings about The Mandalorian, a lot of mixed feelings. But the interactive lightsaber game, there's one, you can buy that at the store. There is already one that is a lightsaber game. And I just feel like I've been to events like, for example, during Star Wars Celebration, who's going to Star Wars Celebration? Who's going to Star Wars Celebration? Anybody? Anyone? I bought my tickets to Star Wars Celebration before The Rise of Skywalker even came out. So I do have tickets to Star Wars Celebration. And it's happening this May at the Anaheim Convention Center in Anaheim. And I guess I'll go. I'm going to go to it, but I don't really care. But I will say this, I've gone where I've had so much fun hanging out with fans. That's the fun part. And in particular, people from the 501st. If you're not aware, the 501st are mostly, a lot of them are like ex-military, some like, cops or firemen. And it's an organization that does a lot of volunteer and charity work. They raise money for charity, in particular, children's hospitals. They also, in addition to raising money, they also do events where they'll go visit children's hospitals, like dressed in character to just cheer up kids. So they do a lot of volunteer work. And so I really have a lot of love and support for the 501st. And I've gone to their parties, which end up being fundraising events. And they're awesome. These people from the 501st love to drink and hang out. So yeah, Scott Slaughterbeck really bringing it on a downer note. According to the UN, 9 million people a year die of starvation, yet we're spending $6,000 for Star Wars experience. Yeah, there's a lot of depressing things in the world. And I feel like something like doing this experience is a huge luxury that I could not justify for myself at all. And it just doesn't feel like Star Wars to me. The singer, the woman who's the Twi'lek, who sings kind of these jazz songs that seems so, first of all, it doesn't feel like Star Wars. It feels off brand. It feels more like our world. Right. And it has a little Fifth Element to it. Wait, Fifth Element vibe, or Star Trek. It just feels more generic starship, right? If they were going to do this, they should have said it in the original trilogy. Yeah. Quick comment from Bill 4393 from Star Wars to Trek. Has Chris seen episode 1 of Picard season 2 yet? Here's what I'll tell you. I haven't seen anything of Picard. And Star Trek Discovery, I watched the first 4 episodes. I just couldn't justify another streaming service effectively to watch one show. So I don't know. I don't know. It's just my interest is just not there. To me, I'm original Star Trek series and The Next Generation. And after that, my interest waned. And I feel the current Star Trek doesn't feel like Star Trek in the sense of espousing the values that Gene Roddenberry represented. So,
yeah. I mean, that's how I feel. The new Star Wars stuff just doesn't, Star Trek stuff doesn't feel like Star Trek.
It doesn't.
And then I'm seeing the Picard trailer, and it's all this multiverse stuff, and I'm like, well, I'm getting overloaded with multiverse.
Yeah, I feel like people are gonna get bored of multiverse stuff. Fulcanelli says, I almost forgot I had those tickets. Hey, Fulcan, I'll see you there. I'll see you there. I'm usually at the Hilton or the Marriott bar, and I'm a sucker for Star Wars themed drinks. So if there is a Star Wars themed drink there, I will be drinking it.
Yeah,
So,
and hopefully by then all the COVID restrictions are gone, and we just have a normal Star Trek celebration.
Yeah. Real quick, Patrick Lemire says the original trilogy licensing fee must be A, expensive, B, must have a loophole that allows massive use of Solo, Boba Fett, Luke. No, yeah, I'm sure that it's a complex agreement, but this explains why the original trilogy characters were not used to full effect in my opinion. I feel like the Star Wars sequels were, and we have a video we did on this, one of the biggest missed opportunities in cinema history. And Patrick Lemire bringing us down again. Hunger is a problem because of the actions of warlords, etc. Not a lack of food or money. So you spending money on a stupid vacation is not starving anybody. All right. Well, I thank you for relieving me of my guilt here.
Yeah. I mean, it's like who of us normies who has $6,000 lying around that we
to justify for it.
Yeah.
Like it's only 2 days.
All the things in your life,
if you're going to spend that much money on a vacation, why not it be a week or 10 days? For that, you could get a cruise for your whole family and it could last a week. Cruises are not expensive.
You could do the Panama tour and the Panama Canal.
There's so much you could do. And like someone else said on one of the live streams, like for $6,000, you could trick out and make a room into a Star Wars room, make it actually a room out of the hotel. And then you own it effectively. You could Airbnb that thing out. I'm sure there's a way to do that. I like those I like themed hotels and whatnot, but we're going to wrap it up today. But I want to say, first of all, thank you to the chat, everyone here. Thank you. We appreciate you. We appreciate you coming by and talking to Alan and I on our live stream, here on Friday mornings. I want to say also support Film Threat. Pick yourself up. Hey, a Film Threat t-shirt, get yourself a Film Threat mug if you like. Why not? It holds any liquid, hot or cold. Awesome. And also subscribe to the channel if you've not already subscribed. Please share this video. Destructo saying, love the show, guys. Thank you. We're going to be developing this. Like I say, it's going to be your reviews of movies opening today, or at least for that weekend. It's also going to be guest filmmakers. Like we had Wes Miller on today, who directed Bruce Willis in this new movie that just opened, Day to Die. And I don't know. We're also going to be talking about things like the Star Wars Galaxy Hotel. Bill 4393 says, thanks, Chris. It's been great. I've just subscribed to your channel. Awesome. Lagbait, Alan, Chris, have a good one. Later, chat.
Yeah.
And heart emoji from Anthunius1. And there you go. You can get, okay, here's this funny. Patrick, you can get an Airbnb in Paris and eats for the whole month for $6,000. A month. So there's your answer right there. But thank you again. We appreciate you. We're going to be doing this every Friday. And during the week, we're going to have an evening show called Hollywood on the Rocks. Alan and I did this show earlier this week where we talked about the Batman. So everyone have a great weekend. This is not the last time we're going to be talking about the Batman, Alan.
Or Star Wars.
Well, look, it's an ongoing conversation, and I appreciate this community. It's also like, I think because you and I have hung out at places like San Diego Comic-Con, WonderCon, LA Comic-Con. That is where we go to, have these conversations in real life. And I love that. I love doing panels or just hanging out with like-minded nerds, and in particular, going to the bar and just chilling out with nerds and really getting into deep dive nerdy conversations. But that's why we're here. So thank you again. We're your place for not just conversation about movies that are opening that week, that particular weekend, but also movies like independent films you would not necessarily hear about, like Mother Schmuckers.
Love Mother Schmuckers. and thank you everyone for joining us.
Awesome. Take care. We will see you next week with Hollywood on the Rocks. Look for the notification. So click that notification bell on the channel for when Hollywood on the Rocks. We're going to be doing it probably Wednesday night. So Wednesday night, Hollywood on the Rocks. I've got some extra special guests that'll be coming in for that. That's going to be a lot of fun. We have Christian Toto, who's coming in, who is a writer who just did he did a book called Virtue Bombs, which we're going to talk about his book. We'll probably talk about the Batman. It's going to be a lot of fun. So join us next week for Hollywood on the Rocks next Wednesday. And of course, our normal Friday live stream where we'll be reviewing whatever movies open that weekend and an ongoing conversation about whatever's happening. Thank you, everybody. Take care.